Hey everyone, and welcome back to Scarlet Sprites today. And what else are we doing but taking a look at more arcade stuff? You know, I always say that the deals are still out there. Real arcade machines do not have to cost thousands of dollars. You just have to be a little diligent and patient, and you'll eventually find something every now and then. Now, I tipped my hand a little bit when I did the basement tour, and I showed that I had recently picked up two new arcade machines, a Midway Blitz 99 and a Police Trainer. Now, somewhat surprisingly, even to me, we're going to take a look at the Police Trainer here first. I actually think this is the more interesting grab of the two, even though I didn't even think I was coming home with it. So Blitz 99, we'll talk about that one next week. That's a bit of a conundrum right now, and I'll explain why in another video. But today, let's talk about Police Trainer. Now, did I buy this because I love Police Trainer so much? I mean, definitely not. This is one of those times where you have to see past what the machine's current state is. Trust the process. Forget that this is currently a Police Trainer machine, and just look at the actual cabinet. Now, this is a Dynamo HS5, and that may not mean a lot to you by name, but I would guarantee that if you were alive in the 90s and you were playing Street Fighter, at least here in North America, at one point or another, you played Street Fighter 2 on this arcade cabinet. So did I want this? Did I need another project? Not really. I went to pick up the Blitz 99 cabinet, and this was sitting next to it. In the original listing, it was posted at $400, which really isn't all that bad for a working machine, but after loading Blitz up, the seller asked if I wanted this too, and I really didn't. I don't need another project. Then he said, how about for $100, just take it. He powered it on and showed me that it booted. Although the monitor was barely visible, it still was only $100 for a mostly working machine, so how am I going to leave that behind? Okay, so I already mentioned that this is a Dynamo HS5, and look, I know it's not a Tron or some other highly coveted game, but for $100, this is definitely a steal. It's a cool little piece of, somewhat generic history, but history nonetheless. One of the things I was really interested in with this was the black bezel. I've been wondering if flipping it around would reveal Street Fighter on the other side, since I was almost certain that this is what the cabinet had been used for. And yeah, there it is, an original Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition monitor bezel. Did I mention this thing was $100? Okay, next up, I'm probably not going to leave this as a gun game. I want to turn this back into some type of stick and button setup. I'm leaning towards popping in my CPS3 board and giving it a proper home. Most of my Street Fighter 2 needs are already handled on the Big Blue, so it would be cool to have this for 3 and 3rd strike. So back to the control panel, flipping this thing forward, look at what's going on across the top here and what's covered up. Now, if you know, you know. Now, most importantly here, I got really lucky. You can see that the bottom of this control panel is still drilled for a 6-button Street Fighter setup, and no one messed with hacking this apart for the guns. The guns are just mounted right through the holes for the buttons. The hope here is that I can strip all of this down, clean it up, apply a new overlay, and have a perfectly good Street Fighter control panel. Again, guys, this was $100. Speaking of those guns that are on here, those are always in demand, and I can easily sell these off if they prove to be working. The seller said he was unable to calibrate them, so I need to ensure that they're good before offloading. Given that the monitor was so dim, that could easily be the issue as to why the guns aren't registering. Alright, so this can't all be great news, can it? I did see this boot up when I agreed to take it, yet after bringing it home and plugging it in, yeah, no go. No neck glow on the monitor either, which is not great. Oddly, further investigation here showed that the wires to the isolation transformer had been cut, so this thing was just f***ing without a condom, basically. Did I mention that this was $100? Well, now it's probably a little more than that to repair the chassis, but this is a K7000 monitor, and guess who has a recap spare with a new flyback laying around just ready to go. Now I could pop that in, but until I'm certain the wiring and everything inside the cabinet is clean and safe, I'm not going to do that. Alright, so the other really cool thing about this machine is how the game board and internals slide out the front. Once the control panel is flipped forward, this board just pulls straight out and you have access to your game board and wiring, making it really easy to swap in a new game or make adjustments if you need to. But you can see here that this is what I was talking about with regards to the wiring. There's so much of this that is cut and spliced. There are bare wires in here that I pulled out, lots of odds and ends not connected to anything, and I don't mean just the grounds. This thing is really a mess, and a new $20 JAMA harness will solve all of this because I'm not dealing with the nonsense here. So if I'm being fair, this is what you can probably expect to be more in line with some of your $100 deals, but still, overall, I'm not mad about this and provides justification for my OCD need to rewire and clean everything up. So after this debacle, I was a little concerned about the actual board in here. So I did pull the PCB, I hooked it up to my Sega Astro City, and thankfully it does boot and everything plays fine. The guns that you see me using here are known working haps that I have as spares for my Virtua Cop 2 cabinet. And as you can see, they work just fine with Police Trainer. I never really played this game all that much, but it's a little different and I could see it being fun. I did eventually remove the marquee holder to this. I was very curious and hoping that someone may have been lazy and left a Street Fighter II marquee of some type behind, but no such luck, unfortunately. The only thing inside here is the one from Police Trainer. I did have some more luck later on though, finding some hidden treasure inside this cabinet. For one, the service card was still in its sleeve on the slide out panel. It shows markings of when the game was looked at by an operator throughout part of the 90s. I love finding things like this. It's maybe my favorite part of getting a new machine. And oh yes, I mentioned this was a $100 machine, but wait, because it's already starting to pay for itself. We've got quarters here, people. Some tokens too, but mostly quarters. My record so far is $17 and some change found inside of Virtua Fighter. I don't think that this is going to be more than that, but it's a healthy amount here. Enough to buy me lunch at least. So by the time I was all done counting, I had $12.62, which technically now makes this an $87.38 arcade machine purchase. So even with the wiring debacle and the monitor chassis being whatever it is, this is still a really solid deal that I'm happy I grabbed. I will be working on the sides of this thing a bit, giving it the usual overhaul and upgrades that I usually do, and most likely getting Street Fighter 3 up and running inside of here over the next few months. Until then though, feel free to leave your comments on the $100 arcade machine pickup below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you all next time. Later, guys.